Okay, in video 2 here we're going to show you how to create a schedule and look at the critical path. So to start off with, the first thing you want to do is you want to get into Microsoft Project, and you always want to know where you are in Microsoft Project. And right now we're in View, Table, Entry. That's home base. So if you ever get lost, you're on a screen and you don't know how to get back to your home base, then go to View, Table, Entry, and that'll take you here. Okay, the first thing you want to do when you get into your project to get it started is go to Project and then go to Project Information. And then what's most critical at this stage of the game is to put in the start date of the project. Now I'm doing this in January 15th, 2020. Just to make it match some instructions that I have, I'm going to change this to the July 22nd, 2015. So we're pretending we're in the past setting this up, okay? Most projects will start now or in the future. I'll click on OK. And what that has done is that has made it now that will be the default date that any task will start. Okay, now the first thing we want to do is we want to enter in all the different types of tasks that we're going to have in this project. Just get them in there. And we have two main types of tasks. Summary tasks are tasks that act like headings in an essay that kind of just outline your project to make it digestible. And then you have tasks which are tasks which will attract work. And I don't distinguish between them at this stage. You just type everything you want into the project. So I just want you to trust me on this, and then I'm going to show you what are summary tasks and what are regular tasks. The first thing I'm going to type in is the project summary task, which is called 2-machine project. Okay, this project is composed of 2 machines, each which need to be overhauled and then tested individually, and then they need to be tested in line with one machine feeding product to another machine for further processing. So this project falls into different sections, and one is a machine 1 section where we overhaul machine 1 by taking it apart and replacing bad parts and greasing it up. And then we test machine 1 as well. And then we're going to put a milestone in here, which is machine 1 complete. And then we're going to have a machine 2 section, and we're going to have the same: overhaul machine 2, test machine 2, machine 2 complete. And then we're going to do test in line, which is the 2 machines being tested in line. And then we're going to have the final project milestone, which is going to be project complete. You don't really need this, but I got in the habit of doing it, so I always do it. Okay, I've just got everything typed in here at this point. The next thing I have to do is I have to indent tasks in order to make some of these stand out as summary tasks. And to start at the top and work my way down, the first thing I have to do is highlight over in the far left column all of these tasks 2 to 11 underneath the 2-machine project summary task. And then I go to task, and then I click on the indent button right here. See how that made 2-machine project the project summary task? Everything else is indented under it. And then I have another level where I click on overhaul machine 1 and test machine 1 and machine 1 complete. So tasks 3, 4, and 5 at the left here, I indented those. So now you can see this is starting to take shape. And then I'm going to take tasks 7, 8, and 9, and I'm going to indent those as well. And then test in line is on the same indentation level as machine 1 and machine 2. It's an actual task that attracts work. I'm just going to leave it there. And then the project complete milestone is there as well. So now I've got all my tasks typed in. Another thing I want to do is I want to identify those that are milestones. Milestones are just markers when a major section of the project is complete, and they have a duration of 0 days. So for task 5, machine 1 complete, I'm going to put 0. For machine 2, which is task 9, that's going to have a 0, making it a milestone. And notice how over on the right here it becomes a triangle with a date, or a diamond with a date. And then project complete is going to be 0 as well. Okay? Just click on OK. And that gives me all of my tasks, and they're entered in. At this point, this is called our work breakdown structure, which just lists all the tasks. We also want to give it some outline numbers. outline numbers are a formatting standard that you see in a lot of projects that just allow you to identify tasks quickly by a number. Not to be confused with these, which are task ID numbers at the far left here. These is a different numbering system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to go on the task name column, and I'm going to go insert column, and then I'm going to type outline number. And when I type that, see how it gives me an automatic numbering system here? And what's nice about this, if I forgot to add a task, I can go, like, say there's supposed to be another task before overhaul machine 1. Don't do this if you're following along, okay? This is just for illustration. I'm going to go new task, and it might be, I don't know, order parts or something like that. Do you see how I was able to insert a task there? And if I have a task I don't want, I can right click on it and then go delete, get rid of it again, okay? So I've got all of my tasks typed in there. I've got my outline numbers. The next thing I have to do is I have to put my predecessor tasks in here. Predecessors refer to tasks that must be completed before the current task can be completed. So you can't test machine 1 until you overhaul machine 1. And overhaul machine 1 has a task identifier of 3. So I put a 3 here. Look what happens to the right. An arc comes out of overhaul machine 1 and points to over at machine 2. Test machine 1. And the dates update as well, where machine 1 starts on Thursday, the day after overhauling machine 1 finishes. The same happens with the machine 2 testing task. Its immediate predecessor is task 7, overhaul machine 2. So what I do is I put a 7 there, and it has the same effect with the arcs coming out. And then test in line depends on 4 and 8. 4, 8. Do you see how task 4 is test machine 1? Task 8 is test machine 2. 4, 8, press enter. There you go. Now that has taken 2 arcs, one out of test machine 1 and one out of test machine 2, and made that go into the start of testing in line. And then the last thing I need to do is I need to put these milestones into the network by machine 1 being complete when testing machine 1 is complete. So that means, because test machine 1 is task 4, I've got to put a 4 right next to that milestone. And then that moves the milestone over to the right. And then for task 9, machine 2 complete, that depends on task 8, test machine 2. So I put an 8 there. And then project complete depends on testing in line being done, which is 10. So now I can easily read dates key accomplishments occur in this project. Okay, now a couple things to add, and then we're done. The first thing we want to do, next thing we want to do is we want to add the actual durations of these tasks. And I made these up, so you just enter them in so that other parts of these exercises work. Overhaul machine 1, let's say that's 3 days. Test machine 1, 4 days. Overhaul machine 2, let's say that takes 6 days. Test machine 2 is 5 days. Test in line takes 1 day. Before I type that in, I just want to mention real quick, do you notice how there's a question mark after 1 day here? And that follows through all the way to the top for the whole duration of the project as well. By default, every task is given a duration of 1 day. And if there's a question mark at the end of it, it means that that's the default, that I haven't typed in my duration yet. And you should make sure that every one of your tasks that attracts work, that you type in a duration. So test in line takes 1 day, but I'm going to type 1 anyway to get rid of the question mark to prove that it's my 1 day. Okay, now a couple things. Don't notice how summary tasks are not linked. Okay, so you don't make machine 2 have a predecessor of 2, and I'm going to do this as wrong. Okay, see how I made machine 2 its predecessor task 2? That's wrong. Okay, don't do that. Never link summary tasks. The other thing you need to do is you need to review your project to make sure that you have no dangling nodes. For example, don't do this either, but I'm going to get rid of this task 3 as a predecessor to test machine 1. So I'm going to delete it. Let's assume that's a mistake. Do you notice how overhaul machine 1 dangles now? It has nothing, no arc coming out of it. And you want to make sure you don't have any tasks that do not have an arc going out into some other task in your project. So I'm going to do this properly again, and I'm going to put 3 here. Now you can see that this isn't just sticking out, it's actually got an arc going into the next task. Milestones, on the other hand, they dangled. You notice how none of these milestones have anything, it's kind of hard to tell here, but none of these milestones have any tasks, any arcs coming out of them. Milestones only have predecessors. They do not act as predecessors to other tasks. In other words, milestones are successors, but they are never predecessors. The last thing, don't ever type dates into this start and finish. We set up this project to be auto-scheduled. Let the durations and the predecessors drive when all of these activities occur. And that way you won't mess up your project. It screams to me beginner when I see someone has actually tried to type the dates they want in here. Now, if you don't like when this project finishes, which is going to finish on the 6th, there's ways of fixing it without touching these dates. What you do is you reduce the duration of activities, and that makes that can alter your finish date. But let's not get distracted by that. So just remember, these rules for linking up tasks as I've given here. The last thing we want to do is we want to go to Format, and then Gantt chart tools if necessary, but Format, and then click on Critical Tasks. Do you see how it made these Machine 2 tasks and Test Inline red? These are critical tasks, meaning that if they're late, the whole project is late. The Machine 1 tasks aren't critical because they take less time, and that means they can be late, and there's slack right along here, it's called, which it can be used because we could finish Machine 1 as early as 7:30, but it really doesn't have to be done until 8:05 when Machine 2 is done and you're ready to test in line. So that's called the critical path. If I don't like my finish date of 8/6, then the way I change that date is by looking at the tasks that I have here and saying, well, get with my technical people, maybe we can do this in 4 days. You see how that moved to the right, the date to the 6th, instead of, I think, move the date to the 5th rather than what it used to be, which I believe was the 5th or the 6th. Anyway, what it did was it moved it up a day. That's how you shorten the critical path of your project. So don't ever force dates on Microsoft project. And that should give you a pretty good overview on how to enter the project schedule and to identify your critical path.